That's awesome.
Well, welcome, Yasha. Good to see you here.
Hello, hello. I
Hi, Aisha.
want to join. I can unfortunately only stay half an hour. Just adapt because I have a family doctor appointment urgency. But I'm
Well,
very grateful to stay here half an hour.
awesome. And hello, Jordan. Where are you from?
Hey, how's it going, man? David, it's been a while.
Oh, whoa! Oh my goodness! That Jordan, Puerto Rico. Are you still in
Yeah,
Puerto Rico?
I am still in Puerto Rico, my man. How's it going?
I'm doing well. Wow. I met Jordan in Tulum, my first time in Tulum. That must have been what, 2021 in May or something?
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. Five
Wow.
5 years ago, man. Running
Yeah.
fast.
Wow. Well, it's wonderful seeing you all here. I think this is a great group because we're doing a new workshop that has just come together in the moment, and yeah, should be fun. We'll probably work with two groups of four people or so, four or five people. It looks like we're gonna have two people drop off. So yeah, I think this is gonna work out really well. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and we'll jump into the presentation. When I was preparing for this meeting, I realized we are almost at 1 year of weekly meetings. We have not missed one meeting since one Monday meeting at 11:30. I think they're all been at 1:30, 11:30 to 1, except for maybe one or two, but we haven't missed any since September 9th, 2025. So that's great. And I imagine, Suzanne, I think you've probably been to almost all of them or all of them.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure.
that's
In person too.
yes, absolutely. Some of the stuff that's just bubbling up lately. The Desirable Properties Challenge. We've got a site up. We've got a community AI called Hermes, which I think it has a lot of really good results, and we're going to be testing that out. I sent Brian some feedback on something he sent me that came directly from Hermes, and I'm really interested to hear at some point. Maybe at the end, we'll allow give Brian a moment
Well,
to.
David, I did not have a chance to read it. I just glanced at it just before I came on, so I'm really not prepared to. I can do it next time though, or I can do it by email.
Okay, perfect. Then I wanted to also mention that we have two books that are both on chain and they have a canopy integration. So they've got the overlay. We've got work groups starting for the Desirable Properties Challenge, and we've got badges. These are forever badges because they're on chain. We just published an article called 2 Years to the V 1.0, which is about the 1.0 desirable properties of a layered web, the layered web book that we're going to be releasing digitally on September 16th. And it does have a new title, The Layered Web, The Desirable Properties of a Meta Layer. Thank you, Kevin
Yeah.
Clark, for that. Really appreciate it. it, it made it much more accessible. And I want to also mention that ISOC Nevada, which a number of us are involved with, is having a celebration at the end of the month in Carson City in D Freeworks backyard. It's 1 acre. It's going to be amazing. We've got a new MetaLayer site, so be really great if some of you could just go ahead and check it out and let us know if there's any things that can be improved, because I'm sure there are. And then the other thing to mention is we had 10 people actually get certified. The MetaWeb Academy has offered a MetaWeb certification course, and these are the 10 people. So Layla's on the call. D, I just mentioned, she's out of ISOC, Nevada. Micah is in Kenya. Jingyi Pan is in China. Uh, Fasa is on the East Coast, so is Sarah Ramirez. That's me, Suzanne on the call as well. Michelle's in Kenya as well. And our final person was Kevin Berry. He came in at the last moment. We wanted to be in double digits, and Kevin obliged. So that we're really excited about that. This particular workshop is part of a series. It's a 4-part series. That series has its own badge, which I'll speak about at the end. We're only at the second one so far, so you're not that far behind, and it's really easy to catch up. So if you want to get the badge, you're more than welcome. It's called A Fork in the Web, is the series, and the first one, you don't actually have to, these are all standalone, so it's not important that you actually know this, but I'm going to present that we had one last week, and the first fork is called You, AI, and Everything Else. And it was about this dynamic, this fork, and how we use the web that all of us are doing, and a lot of us are starting to notice, where AI is our go-to for just about everything, and it's becoming basically our intermediary. Uh, I noticed this a lot more this past week because I needed to buy some things, and just because we did the workshop, it really presents it in my mind. Today's workshop is Concierge versus Commons, and uh, we want to separate out and really distinguish and understand and feel the difference between brilliant convenience and shared, persistent, contestable context. So this is, as always, a interactive workshop. So it really requires you to be active in it. It doesn't really happen if you're not. Okay, hold on one second. Just let a couple more people trying to get in. Oh, okay. It looks like D and Parham. I'm just gonna let them get fully in. And hey, Parham, welcome. And D, I think you're on the line as well. Great to see you both here. I was just saying that we're starting the workshop Concierge versus Commons now, and it's about separating convenience from shared, persistent, contestable context. And we really need everybody's voice in the room. So we're going to start out and just present the learning objectives for today. And this is really an architectural distinction, and we want to be able to distinguish between highly useful AI interoperability and a real digital commons. The 3 objectives are: 1, to distinguish personalized AI interoperability from human interoperability, where communities and shared resources come together and interact and interoperate. So the 3rd objective is to be able to design the minimum conditions for a commons. And we're saying that that's memory, so civic memory, contestability, so being able to say, hey, I don't like this, governance, and direct participation. These seem like really important. So what happens? Well, actually, when context becomes private, what disappears? So look at this image, notice who is centered, notice what is outside, who is outside, and what can be contested. Put 1 word in the chat, everybody. Okay, we're looking for some words in the chat. It's interactive. Okay, so trust.
When contact becomes private.
So who is centered? Who is outside? What do you notice? sharing, connection, emergence, collaboration. Okay. Truth. So these are all interesting. And let's take a look at. So here's some other things to look at. I'll say context and perception. So community, shared memory, dissent, uncertainty, minority interpretation. So what are these? These are some of the things that you know. There's some difference here. There's this private context, and then yeah, there's this opportunity for there to be people who are not included, whose voices are not heard, like you see here, dissent, civic groups, etc. So let's it a commercial message, it just popped up here. I didn't actually place it exactly at this point, but we need some real help to make this happen. And there's a lot of different roles. Some of the important ones are team builder, community lead. We'd love some agentic builders, so social lead, content fundraising. So if that's your jam, then let us know, because we collectively have a really great direction, and it's really about bringing more capacity to the work. End of commercial message. Um, so if we're talking about either the concierge, so that's your AI, who intermediates everything, or a commons, what is each side optimized to make possible? So please put a phrase in the chat that distinguishes between the concierge and the common in terms of what they're optimized for. Thanks, Kevin. Great to see you. Yep. Let's see. Stella just joined. So right now, we're putting a phrase that compares the concierge and the commons and saying what they're optimized for. Let's get at least a couple in here into the chat. So the AI concierge, Jordan says, it supports or wants commons and no, support wants, and the commons supports needs. That's very interesting. I like that. Um, Suzanne says a concierge is a service, a commons is an infrastructure. Stephanie says the concierge is for the individual and a commons is for the collective. Brian says AI comes from the machine. These are excellent. Let's see. So what do we notice? Well, oh, somehow that got blew up, but actually it looks like some more are coming in. So let me just see. Oh, and then Layla says concierge equals direct, commons equals organic. So what are we looking? We're seeing things like speed, personalization, shared context, direct participation, governance, and persistence. These are all different. And these are just other examples there. But what we came up with was pretty interesting as well. The point is that there are different implications for concierge and commons. Like, for example, with speed, the concierge may be super quick, but and the commons may be really slow, but there's benefits, there's trade-offs for all these things, right? So we're going to do a poll now. And the question is, what future are current incentives building towards? And I'm going to launch this poll that I already have set up. And so here we go. Everyone, if you could pick one. Okay, we got another framing. You want to say what that is?
Which future?
People are optimistic. A lot of people, well, people are saying commons. Okay, now mixed. Commons was in the lead. Um, okay, now mixed. Okay, right. Mixed is leading. Does anyone from the mixed camp want to speak to? Well, actually, let's start out with concierge. One of the people who picked up on concierge, could you speak to your choice?
Yeah, I will if my mic is open. Well, just
Yep.
I think that take a look at the stock market. Take a look at the crazy investment that is driving up the stock market. Think about all the promises, all the um, aspirations of getting rich, driven by billionaires and trillionaires, and they all want to AI, 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 CAI. Give me a break. That's my answer.
Well, thank you. Okay, one person from the Commons who thinks the future um, current incentives are moving towards the Commons, please speak up. There's only two of you.
I think the concierge optimizes for convenience mostly. But commons is more about legitimacy. It I think that it speaks and gives direct access for evidence, for disagreements, and historical purposes.
Suzanne, did you pick Commons?
Yes.
And why did you pick Commons as, you know, saying that we're actually building toward it? Well, I mean, I think I might understand, but tell
Okay.
me.
Well, the incentives going forward, a concierge to me is just out of convenience. It's just it doesn't have the substance, it doesn't have the body, but a commons involves everyone, to input. It's the concierge is more independent, right? You go up to the concierge, you get assistance and you get help. But a commons, it gives me direct access to more people. One doesn't help you collaborate with others, just with the concierge.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Thank
if we lose commons, collective intelligence becomes something that AI performs for us rather than something communities develop together. That's my thought.
yeah. And Renaud,
I chose commons because commons prioritize shared resources, participation, and collective benefits rather than individual profits.
thank you. Okay, there's someone, or actually a couple people chose another framing. Could one of you or both of you tell us what you were thinking? I mean, why did you choose that?
Guess I'll go first. This isn't necessarily what I want, but what I think is happening more on a global geopolitical perspective. I don't know if you guys are familiar with um, the former finance minister of Greece, but he has this brilliant book and saying he calls it the neo-feudal uh, basically neo-feudalism is like this new format where like all the rents that are typically extracted from the economy vis-a-vis these captains of industry who own the cloud capital, like the Facebooks, the Amazons, the Googles, all these guys are basically creating a new future whereby they are becoming the feudal lords and we are becoming the serfs again in the old like feudalism model. But in this particular way, like we're not working You know, the feudal serfs in this context are the people that are building businesses on top of these cloud platforms, and they think that they own their own you know, future, but in a way they're all dependent on these like few pillars of like cloud
Mm,
monopolies. And
yep.
I think these cloud monopolies are the ones that have the capital to build out the AI to basically extract all the rest of the wealth from the commons, from the masses. And that's where I think the incentives are going. I don't think there's anything structurally, economically, geopolitically that is adequately fighting against that uh, conglomeration and really like what's the word I'm looking for? Just like feeding off of the masses to a point where we're going to be, you know, extracted of our wealth and our ownership, and they want us renting from them in perpetuity. And I think AI, in a lot of ways, with current incentives, is really enabling that. And it's a scary prognosis for me. I mean, I would like to see us go towards the commons like you're talking about, but I just don't see the incentive structures that are making that possible.
Well said. You well said.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. You just mic dropped us, but it's interesting because it's a slightly different framing, or maybe it's a more pessimistic framing, but it also does align with the concierge in a way, right? Because I think you're saying that that is, although the concierge isn't the whole AI thing, but it is part of it, and you're pointing out that AI is making it move towards lords and serfs. So that's yeah, amazing
I
comment.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just think about it like with Elon, right? He's going to own all the infrastructure for doing compute in space. He's going to own the ability to do the transport from the Earth to space. Like these guys like him that are going to own all the infrastructure that basically makes AI possible, and they're going to own the robots that are doing the manual labor. So they own the intelligence, they own the processing and the data, and they own the actual raw material. It's like where does the average human enter into the picture of the economy in the future? This is the problem that nobody has really solved. And it's very concerning. Like we want to assume that like these billionaires are going to figure it out and that they're going to just share the wealth that they're quickly accumulating. They're going to have to do that on some degree because, you know, the capital that they extract from the masses, there's going to be no demand anymore because there's going to be no capital left in the masses to extract from. So they have to share somewhat, but I don't have a whole lot of hope that they're going to be doing that very equitably.
Well, yeah, well, unless you consider UBI equitable, of calling all the optimists. D, do you have like the alternative optimistic framing to give us, or did you pick mixed? Maybe she's not with us anymore.
I picked mixed.
Okay. Do you want to say why?
Well, I think we're just evolving right now. So, you know, for any one person to sort of predict and frame where we're going more, I think we're still out there with a bunch of different proposals and options. So I think we're still in that mix. It's going to shake out. But I hope that whatever we evolved, and this is the optimistic view, is that we have choices behind the concierge perspective and the comments, because I think we need both.
Awesome. Fasa.
I also selected mix. I think that the infrastructure that we're building is moving in the direction of like more so the concierge. But I think that these things balance themselves out. I think there will be a response by the commons, by the community to build its own infrastructure that can latch into that in a way that allows for their well-being to be addressed. That's always going to be the case. The question is the funding, is the support, is the the coordination there that allows for that to happen in a way that's expeditious where we can benefit from it. Because I'm sure the next generation will have something to say about destroying the planet.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else want to voice your perspective on this particular?
W, what if maybe the answer could be that the commons is supported by concierge services, but never replaced by them, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any reason that we can't use concierge when it makes sense, and also at the same time build the commons, even if the incentives aren't there as much as they could be in the future. I mean, that I think that's what this particular slide is getting at is, well, actually, what our responses to this slide are getting at is that is it's very unclear, and there are some incentives for commons, and there's some for concierge, and if the concierge goes, really south, it could lead to extreme inequality. The interesting thing, one interesting thing that I'm noticing is there's nobody who's unsure about this. So that's different, right? Uh, Anyone else want to make a comment before we move on from this poll?
I'll add a quick comment, David. I think it's interesting because all the applications we're building now that are concierge focused came out of commons applications. Like the internet, all the social media, all the Reddit posts, all these discussions that were built in the last 2, 3 decades, all were funneled to build these AI systems. So all that wealth that was generated were actually part of a commons environment. So I feel like there will be a bottleneck at some point where these all these companies are building concierge. They realize, oh, we do need commons ecosystems because that's where the wealth of the data comes from. So I do think so it might be actually constrained for the concierge to move on if we don't have a commons environment. So it's a more like a pragmatic point I'm trying to raise here.
I think that's a really amazing point. So the concierge is actually drafting on 3 decades worth of commons that we build up, and plus whatever rest of history as well. But anyone else want to follow up with that on that?
I do also want to say something else. I think the optimistic counterpoint to what I was saying before is just the direction that all this AI technology is heading vis-a-vis local processing. These models are getting so sophisticated and the algorithms improving to the point where we can run the stuff on our own hardware. We don't need these giant data centers. And that really does empower the individual and collectivism within local contexts to be able to build their own AI solutions and not rely on these capital fiefdoms that I was talking about earlier. So I think there is going to be definitely that push and pull, like the other guy was talking about, that has always happened between private and public interests. But I think we're going to see very quickly this kind of capitalism model break down as intelligence becomes so cheap and so easy to operationalize on the individual node layer.
Excellent point. Thank you for the optimistic counterbalance. We always like to see those in the house, so appreciate that. So I'm gonna end it, sharing the results. How's that work? You all can see this now? Just all right. So we're gonna move on. It's pretty clear that although the concierge gets a lot of its information from the commons, it is not a commons. And the question isn't whether the summary is truthful. The question is where shared context lives and who can contest it. So the concierge, it optimizes for personal relevance, speed, compression, and action. It can be brilliant. It can be super convenient. I was ordering, what was it? It was an enclosure for some disk. So for a 4 terabyte disk to go with my Mac Mini yesterday, I compressed that process into about 15 minutes, which would have taken me so much more time. So it's no doubt that it is brilliant. At the same time, or in a different way, the Commons is brilliant as well. But it optimizes for shared memory, direct participation, contestability, and governance. It's all about persistent shared context. And we've talked a lot on these calls about shared context, reality anchors, things that we all can see. And when it's shared, it becomes things that we orient around, and it makes our conversations and even our disagreements much more fruitful. So the thing that we might want to consider an inquiry is, well, where does a community's interpretation live tomorrow? So where do you find it? How do you get at it? Where is it? With the Commons, it's pretty clear. With the concierge, maybe not so much. All right, so we're going to do a group exercise. We're going to break down into a couple breakout groups. Let's see how many people there are. So, wow. Okay. Let's see how many are real people as opposed to bots. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. So we're going to do 3 groups, and our case study is Harbor Junction. It's about housing near transit. It's completely fictional. All the names have been changed to protect the innocent. I mean, no, actually, it's even more fictional than that. It's just here for us to work through some things, and it's a shared case. All 3 groups will look at it. Essentially, there's a proposal in this town. A city-owned lot near the rail could become 160 homes, 12 small storefronts, a public plaza, and fewer parking spaces. Now, we see this happening all over, right? I mean, it certainly happened in the Bay Area. We have, I think they call it transit-oriented development.
Right. Village.
Yes, yep, absolutely. Transit villages. The decision. The council must weigh housing, small business, accessibility, traffic, environment, youth needs, and the limited public budget. So we're going to be looking at 2 different representations of the same case. And I'm going to ask you all to, in your group, the first thing you're going to do is get a facilitator, a scribe, and a reporter. I don't care how you do it, but that's the first thing that you do. And when you get into the rooms, I'm going to go ahead and put the link to this slide presentation in the chat. You're going to open the slide presentation and go through the next 3 slides. You're going to read silently for several minutes each. Each of you will have your own copy of the slides. You'll go through the 3 slides, and then you're going to record in a conversation what is revealed and what is obscured. And so there's 2 aspects. You've got the AI summary. It's useful, it's accurate, it's compressed, it's personalized for a resident who values housing and transit. So this is a supporter. And then there's the shared excerpt. There's direct voices. There's source lineage, uncertainty, minority interpretation. There's open questions that have yet to be resolved. And so we're going to be comparing these different representations.
Dubby,
Anyone have any?
go back to the question, Dubby. Would you go back to the question again? You know,
Which question? Oh,
boxes. Yeah, the what we're dealing with and
oh yeah.
just real quick. Oh, okay,
So
thanks. I just this part I have to. Okay, thanks.
yep. So it's just transit oriented, village
Okay,
development. The council must weigh the different competing interests. And we're going to be thinking about, well, what is it like to look at an AI summary versus actually getting a bunch of different information from different places that may reflect different views than what we see in the summary. So I'm going to stop presenting at the moment. I'm going to get this, share this. Anyone have any questions while I'm trying to get this thing to work? Okay, so needs not restricted.
Can you explain the three roles that you're talking about?
Yeah, so the facilitator just is to keep things moving along, make sure that everybody has a copy of the presentation and can read it and make sure that we just take a couple minutes and then move into discussion. We're going to do this for about 12 minutes, so 2 to 3 minutes of reading and then and figuring out who's the different roles. Facilitator make sure that there's different, that we have a scribe and a reporter as well. So the scribe is writing what happens and the reporter is going to share back to the group. All right, I am going to put this in the chat. And so everyone, if you could just go ahead and click the link in the chat now, just so that you have a copy of it and you'll be able to read it in your group. And so now I'm going to create our breakout rooms. You're going to be in one of three, and we're going to assign them now.
Dubby, this link takes me to a year of work is becoming visible. Must be in the wrong chat.
Oh, a year of
Means when I opened up the page. Maybe that's the old thing. I don't know.
Okay.
Let's
Let
see.
me. Is anyone else having that experience as well? Let me see.
Yeah.
So let me. Okay. Hold on one second.
I'll just join.
Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. Are people able to open up this slides presentation?
No, I just get to the Meta Web Academy inaugural cohort. Let me go back to. I don't know. It's not like breakout room.
I mean, it opens the slides for me. I don't know, for me at least.
So maybe Suzanne, you can stay in the main for a little while and just read them here. So we're going to be going through slides 14 through 16, and we're going to do it in the groups. I'm going to open the groups again, and yeah.
knows for sure.
Hey there, you all have a facilitator yet?
No?
All right,
No,
who's
I
going to
just
be the facilitator?
I think Stephanie was.
Oh, hello, Michelle.
What's that?
No, Michelle joined.
Okay. Oh, good. Who's going to be a facilitator for this group? And the scribe and the reporter. We just need one person each.
I can do the facilitating if somebody else does the scribing and recording.
So scribing is just writing it down, put it in a Google Doc.
So what
I
exactly
could
we
probably
have to
report.
put in the Google Doc? The thing that
Just
I understand
yeah,
that we have to.
whatever the
Oh,
conversation is, just record the conversation. You don't have to be exact, just whatever you're getting out of the conversation, the main points. You good with
I
that?
could write stuff down. Could it be in the Zoom chat that I write it down, or does it need to be in a
Sure.
Google Doc? Or
Sure. Yeah. Good.
okay.
Well, yeah, the only thing about the Zoom chat would be just make sure that people copy it, because I think it will go away once the breakout group ends.
Okay. Yeah, let me
And so you need a reporter. Renaud, you want to report back?
so like what happened in the conversation? I report it back to the main
Yep.
room.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. All right. You guys are set. So read and you guys all have the PowerPoint. Suzanne, were you able to get there?
the problem. I don't have a keyboard, so that is my problem right here. I just have a tablet without the key.
Maybe one of you just put it up and you guys can just go through it together. I think that would be fine. So one of you can share the screen. I'm going to go check on the other groups. But yeah, jump into it, read it, and then just have a conversation about the situation that's presented. Okay. Leave. Oh, hey, Layla.
Hey, there was only two of us and I'm gonna be driving soon, so we were gonna get out and she was gonna go into another room, but I don't know if she made it out of the
Okay.
room. As she was asking me how to do it, I was already on the way out, so it cut off. But I want to go into a room, but I didn't want it to just be us because I'm not gonna be able to actively participate for a little bit.
I can move you into one of the other ones. Let's see. So I'll move you to room 2.
Thanks.
And then
context, and you have to build for that reality. That is to say, like for example, I build like a SQL type database store that records all the raw data of everything that happens in a particular transaction history. And that's useful. You can run a vector analysis on it and find the information you want in the raw record. But sometimes and often it's faster to have the AI go to a synthesized memory of all of that raw record rather than having to use all the tokens to read through the raw data. But you want to make sure that you're doing it at the right times. And if the information isn't flowing out of the synthesized record, that you have that raw record to go back to and verify the source information. And so this is what I kind of think he is toying with or touching upon here with these slides is like, all right, how do we think about the store of truth and representation moving forward in the future with these AI systems? We want to make use of them, but we also don't want their assumptions to be baked in to the record to the point where we're only relying on those assumptions and we no longer have the raw data to go back to and reformulate or
Are we back?
Other people to share what they want to share.
Yeah, let's hear from our reporters.
That was really fast.
Yeah, that
We
It was
we were
really
really just getting, I'm like trying to organize notes and stuff. Renard was cooking and she was speaking pretty fast.
Well, we could just do it now. So what do people notice? What's missing? These are structural signals, absences. What did you all
well.
notice?
Okay, I really appreciated Jordan's response to my criticism that by using other people's third-party code, doesn't that add to the risk that Jordan provides to his customers, to his clients, because he's using code? But he had an eloquent explanation. If he's still on, I don't
Yeah,
want to steal.
yeah, I can share. Yeah,
Yeah, because I have to drop off, unfortunately. But go ahead.
I just thought this whole exercise was kind of teasing at a key distinction that I see in building AI solutions that I have with my own clients, right? So this kind of is playing around with these ideas of what is knowledge and what is the record of truth, and how do we build AI solutions that represent the truth effectively, that synthesize information and knowledge in summaries that are well represented. And these are different things, right? Like there are different use cases for a knowledge record that maintains an entire raw record, and something that is a representation, a summary, or a synthesis, right? And so what I see right now is I'm building both of these within a knowledge system that the AI has access to, and then I have the ability to audit and edit. And so this kind of brought up his question to me, is like, well, is that okay to use AI code in your projects with clients, or use a third party, somebody else's code? And I said, of course it is. I mean, we're doing that all the time. This is the commons, like open source software is exactly that, right? We're building solutions globally, and some people are just doing it for free, right? Because they have a passion for something. And I incorporate the work that they do, and the onus is on me as somebody who's integrating a piece of code to decide whether or not that code meets my needs, if there's any security loopholes there, if there's anything that doesn't meet the spec that I'm building for. And so I still have to have the knowledge of coding and the understanding of product to understand whether or not this code is going to meet my needs. And then, if I do my due diligence, I should be able to incorporate that. But, getting back to the task at hand that you're talking here, David, is like with these two, AI representations versus the raw record of each citizen and their voice, what I would do if I was building a solution around this is I'd build a database that has all the raw record details of every citizen and their responses. And then I would have a synthesis database, which is probably an Obsidian store, that is AI synthesized. And I build basically a recurring process where the AI goes through the raw record and makes a synthesis and determines what that summary is. But that summary has assumptions baked into it. It's assumptions based on the question. And so you still have to have the raw record to go back to in case those assumptions shift and the question changes. Then you or the AI can go back into that raw record and analyze it from that fresh perspective.
That's a good point. You're basically just now built a civic memory. That's excellent.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is kind of the cutting edge of where I think a lot of AI is right now, and what I'm building for. And I'm taking it a step further and trying to build memory systems that are even behaving like a human brain, in the sense that we can bring neurological activity into the picture, and how edges between memory associations are strengthened or weakened over time based on recall. So
yeah, civic memory, that's key. That is so
Wow. Well, that was quite a bit there, and it seems
sorry
like
if I asked too much.
no, it's actually great, because you're building for both sides of this, because you're speaking to creating the synthesis, which is easy for people to ingest. It kind of gives you an overall view, but then you're also, as a builder, concerned with making sure that we have information about the minority positions, the things that are contested, the source lineage. I heard you say something about that as well.
Yeah.
So you're trying to capture all that and make it available. So that is you're working on both sides of it, which is great, and hopefully that's where AI is moving. Certainly. Anyone else? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna agree with you, but I think it's not just the civic versus, the private. I think these are just different types of memory and different types of information that are needed at all layers of society. It's not just like the civic versus, the private sector, like even within a project that I use with my own AI, like when I'm just interacting with one or my swarm of I have it doing the same thing for me, right? Like I want the raw record of what happens that I can go back to and audit if I need to, but I also need that synthesis for fast recall and to be able to peruse and update like a source of record and knowledge of what the status is of a particular project. So I think this is just how we operate as humans also. And, the more that we can build solutions that take into account the ways that we need to interact with data, the better. And it just has the added advantage of enabling us to take into account that minority position as well.
Well said. Anyone else have anything to throw in here? What about the reporter from room 1? Is that you, Renat?
Yeah. So I think what's missing in representation A, the intense emotional friction and specific community arguments and granular data are completely erased. So our group analyzed how the medium shapes the message in the Harbor Junction case. So the representation A creates a past momentum by hiding community friction to deliver a polished, efficient roadmap. However, it completely obscures minority viewpoints and oversimplifies arguments in sharp contrasts. For representation B, it preserves raw human reality and financial risk, while it makes a fast consensus much harder to reach. It ensures that critical warnings like unconfirmed funding and tenant concerns are never erased from the public record.
Well said. Anyone else want to add on to that? We can test this as well. So Jordan was talking about having a connection between the summary and the actual raw data. So you could think of those as citations. Would citations repair the architecture, or do they only improve the concierge? Anyone have any thoughts on that? And then we're going to let Jordan speak to it after that. Anyone else?
I would just say that a lot of it depends on the community's ability to interpret the data itself and what's being produced. I think that's the very human element of what's going on. That's where you find that error takes place and happens. Is how people interpret information as well that matters. So I think that will also play a role as our ability to adjust and have a culture that allows for us to use an infrastructure where citations in the presence of more information and stuff becomes more readily available.
Well said. Anyone else want to add in to this mix? Jordan, you want to address this?
What point in particular? I mean,
Well,
I think
do citations repair the architecture, or does it just improve the concierge, or it really depends on the implementation, I'm imagining?
I'm not sure I understand what you mean by repair the architecture.
Well, the flaws with the summary are that you don't have access necessarily to the raw information, the dissenting views, the things that are contested, the minority positions. But if you build citations to what, for example, people are saying, then is that workable? Does that actually solve the problem? And maybe it does sometimes, maybe it doesn't all the time, but it sounds like that's how you're building. So I was wondering what you thought about that.
I mean, I think it creates the potential for people to do their own research, right? But that's always the issue, is that do people do their due diligence? There's all kinds of information on the internet right now. We have access to the underlying data points at our disposal, but most people are not going to read past the headline or even the first paragraph of an article that they're reading, whether that article is cited to the raw data or not. So I think this is, it touches upon, flaws in human behavior and psychology, right? Like we can engineer a solution that has the ability to be fact checked or rather analyzed and then interpreted by each individual based on their own assumptions. But whether or not the person is going to take the time to do that is really up to them. I think we can build these solutions that enable that kind of individual interpretation analysis to happen, but we still have to also build the awareness within the public that we need to take the onus onto ourselves and that personal responsibility to educate ourselves and to do our own due diligence and not just rely on an AI summary of the facts of what might have transpired in any particular meeting or discussion or event and go to the source. But it's the same issue that we have right now with media and understanding. We see how fractured our society is right now. And it's all because we're in these echo chambers of media consumption, right? I think the reality is much more in the middle, but yet we're more polarized than ever. And yet we have access to the raw data right now. Like, so.
You guys, when you get, the propaganda for proposals, right? And like in reference to this example, I mean, you get the summary, like, like on this one, right? Most evidence says that 160 homes will improve affordability and reduce emissions, right? But that might be accurate, but what studies were determined? This is where you need citations. I mean, what studies were done? Which assumptions were made? Who are the experts, right? Which community members disagreed? What evidence was included or excluded? But with the citations, I mean, we have the original planning documents. So we have the data. We have the community comments. We have environmental studies, economic analysis. I mean, the thing is who's going to read this stuff? There are many people that will. Some people will just take the summary. But I think you have to have available, alternate proposals, minority reports, decision records. Those are needed. Citations are imperative. They're very important.
They're very important, and I think they are tools by which we can rely on, even if it's not going to be a human necessarily reading every single one, but building that infrastructure so that humans who are asking the right questions can essentially initiate their own AI systems to do the deeper digging for them and making that information available, well organized and accessible to AI systems so that humans asking better questions can get that analysis done in a more expedient time frame is going to, improve awareness and just a more comprehensive view of the facts.
Point, Corey. Point.
So Param, I know that you're building some things with AI as well, and it'd be really interesting to hear your perspective and how this lines up.
Yeah, I think personal choices matter a lot in this environment. If we can provide an interface to the user where they make the leaps themselves and realize the connections themselves. And there could be a way for that to be fed back into this shared environment to enrich that shared environment. I think all those insights matter. So I think there should be, I mean, to me, like talking about the concierge versus the commons environment, I think the private space matters. Maybe I'll say that it's not that we move from kind of the private space to the common space where everything's shared. I think an environment where the user can privately, in a personal space, make the leaps, make the insights, then providing a way for that to go to the collective, to enrich the collective. Um, I think that feedback loop is needed.
Do we have any other AI builders in the house right now? Anyone building a community AI where the conversation, the AI is part of a community conversation? That's one of the things that I've been working with respect to this desirable properties. And I know Jordan, maybe Stephanie, maybe you haven't heard of this. We're in embarking on, well, really responding to a inquiry that Vint Cerf challenged us with about 2 years ago. Vint is a father of the internet. And Stephanie, did you come through PCI? Is that how you connected into this group, or how did you find us?
I believe it was PCI.
Okay, cool. So yeah, may have read what we had said earlier, but essentially, Vint said, if you're going to be building the next level of the internet, you need to start with the intention and what are the desired goals. He said back 50 odd years when we were building the internet, we didn't have any thoughts about where we were going. We were just innovating. We didn't know where we were going to be. We didn't know misinformation was going to be an issue, a huge issue. We didn't know privacy. All these things were going to become an issue. And it makes sense, right? I mean, it was completely new. And he said, well, if you're going to do this, if you want to put a new a layer of layers on top of the web, then you need to be thinking about what do you want out of it? What should it support? What kind of rights should it give us? How should it be architected? And so we've been over the last 2 years thinking about this in a number of different ways. There's probably been at least 100 or so contributions from different people. We've had 2 calls for input, and now we're on the desirable properties challenge. Fasa.
No, I was just going to say, I wouldn't say that we're necessarily building a community AI, but we are focusing on with data sovereignty being DP4. You mentioned the desirable properties. DP4 is, I think, privacy and data sovereignty, or data sovereignty and privacy. And we're really exploring how communities can discover the lifestyle and the culture that they need to have to actually use the infrastructure in a way that allows for AI to be used in a way that's ethical, because people will harm themselves with technology to the points that it is that you are making. Like if we just innovate in a direction, I mean, you're going to have these success points and metrics that are based off of economics that end up driving the innovation, as opposed to the community really playing the role in driving the innovation towards what its needs are. I think it's just been really out of balance. What we're seeing is a more economically driven form of innovation that's driving technology in a direction that leads to some of the dystopic outcomes and stuff that we're all trying to prevent now. And so creating identify new metrics for success that are related to what the different types of communities and stuff need would allow for us to be thinking about, well, what does the AI actually need? And we're trying to bring that to desirable property number 4, which is looking at the technical infrastructure of the meta layer as it relates to DP4, and looking to discover, one, how can the community interpret what's going on in this very technical document in its own way, in its own through human experience and stuff, kind of relating that material. Because one of the things that we found was that most people don't speak tech. And because most people don't speak tech, when you look to get them to engage with like even the technology that they use every day, they don't really like thinking about it too much, because the whole reason why they got it was for convenience. So it's tough to get people to want to think about the things that are impacting their daily lives, which it's like, wow, who could have thought of that? And so um, I think that's one of the best parts about this desirable property challenge, is the challenge to also get the regular community in the door. Like, and I say regular, I mean everyday people that are using the technology across the different applications and industries for which the technology is being adapted for. And so that's one of our goals, like with the patches and the inserts, to think about how that can support the construction of AI in a way that, you know, I think fits more of like a community AI of what it is. I'm no AI developer for sure. That's not my thing, but I'm definitely into community and creating real world applications and stuff for things that the community can, you know, be engaged with and have certain level of retention around as well. So.
Thank you. Does anyone want to respond to that? That was quite a mouthful. A lot in there. A lot of good stuff. Let me, and I see Stephanie says, as someone who's bilingual, tech is absolutely another language. I'm going to show you all just a little peek at this desirable properties, because I know that all of you could provide input of this that would be super valuable. And it would be really valuable in the next couple of weeks, because this is the opportunity to be part of the essentially the version 1 of the desirable properties of a meta layer, or it's actually going to be, it's a book. So in when he says patch, that's creating revisions, but they have, we call them patches because they're append only, they have provenance, they have metadata. So it's not just like a revision, right? It's actually something that's substantial. So we're using a different word, which actually is a word from software. So I'm going to click through. So here's the new book. Well, I don't know if it's not necessarily the final book cover, but this is where we're at right now. This is the title, The Layered Web, the Desirable Properties of a Meta Layer. And here is the book. This is where we're at right now. We've got a DP1. This was suggested by Vince Cerf, Federated Authentication and Accountability. Fossa just spoke about data sovereignty and privacy. I'm really into decentralized namespace. You know, that's just what I'm into. Josh, our mutual friend, he said something about 2 years ago or a year and a half ago that made us create DP6, which is commerce. Jordan, you might be interested in safe and ethical AI. Let's just go into one and just see. So it has the purpose of the draft. It talks about, well, this one articulates desirable property 11 as the condition under which AI systems can participate in the meta layer without displacing human moral agency, accountability, or governance. And it has a problem statement, it has threats and failure modes, it has core principles, primary mechanisms, and structural conditions. And there's a lot of these. Wow. Okay. And then, oh, there's still more of those, huh? Okay. Wow. There's a ton of them. There's a lot of different principles where AI is complex. And then governance, accountability, and agent surfaces, incentives and power analysis. So basically, these are very thorough documents, but they're not super technical, right? You don't see equations like here. Okay, community signals informing DP11 across communities. A consistent set of signals appears. These reflect lived frustration with current systems, frustration with opaque AI behavior, and unclear accountability. Demand for meaningful disclosure beyond labeling. Concern for manipulation, dependency, and synthetic influence. Desire for systems that can be contested and corrected. Now, any of you could come in here and say, well, actually, I was about to say you could come in and do a patch, but you need to open up Canopy first. So this is the first overweb tool, the first one that we've created. And I don't think anything's been done on this page yet, but you could come here and just select something and then say patch or insert. Let's say you wanted to just add another bullet. You could then add a bullet and say whatever your new idea of a community signal is. I don't know what it is, but the point is here that you could contribute that. And if you do that, then you are eligible for the badge that would be associated with this particular one, which is safe and ethical AI. And since Stephanie mentioned that she was bilingual, I wanted to mention the newest one, which is universal participation in linguistic, what is it? In interoperability. And this is this idea that you, just imagine a system that it doesn't matter what language you speak in, you can post in that language, and then it doesn't matter what the language of the viewer is, they can see it in their language, and if they reply, you would see the reply in your language. So I could be speaking Navajo, someone else is speaking Cambodian, or one of the 15 languages in Cambodia. I'm being facetious. I have no idea how many there are, but the point is that we should be able to interoperate. And if we do that, then all the translations need to be stacked and kept. I mean, that's the whole governance piece and accountability piece, because hey, someone may want to actually contest the translation. So these are the desirable properties of a meta layer. The meta layer book we're going to be putting out, and we just love your input. So go to desirableproperties.org and check out the work groups. Just let's see. I want to get somewhere else. So I'm going to come
David,
here. Yes.
this book sounds like it's an evolving entity in and of itself, a collective creation. At what point do you decide that it's V1 is done and you're going to release it?
It's, well, the 2-year anniversary. But
Okay.
there's a lot of work that needs to get done, and that's what's good. So in the next couple of weeks, up until early September, we're looking to get as many community input as needed. And believe me, I'm jumping in. I just started. I haven't done anything in this thing for months. I just did it starting yesterday. We have an AI called Hermes. That's the community AI. It understands these DPs really, really well, and it can take your article or someone else's article. It could take a post. It could take just a raw idea and help you figure out where it fits, and it can argue with you as well about it. You can put it in devil's advocate. And essentially, it what we need right now is a human finish on it. It's not going to be finished. This isn't something's going to be finished. We're going to be at 1.0, and I expect that, yeah, probably the rest of the year, hopefully much more eyes will be on it. It'll go to different communities, different industries, and they're going to say, oh, well, there's some desirable properties that you guys missed. The whole idea, desirable properties feed requirements, feed architectural design records, feed code. And we're going to start doing requirements as soon as we finish, we get to this 1.0 version. But that doesn't mean that the desirable properties site is going to go away. It doesn't mean that the agent is going to go away. That's all going to be there. And so basically, this September 16th is the first circuit, but the circuit is going to remain in place. And yeah, we'll see what happens. I think it just evolves over time because, think about it. So, Jordan, what we're suggesting is the content layer is not it, that you can have as many layers are needed. A layer is distinguished by a particular group and governance associated with it. And so, with this whole idea, you can create smart tags, so a little piece of code that anyone can attach to a piece of content. You can create tab locations like that Canopy one that allowed basically like a Twitter feed more or less on the sidebar. You can create your own sidebars. You can create your own smart tags. So it's kind of unlimited, right? I mean, anyone can create them. Right now, you need to be a developer, but pretty soon you won't even have to be a developer. You create a smart tag, create a tab location, and what does that mean? That means the thing is just, it's whatever you need it for, right? You can just build it. So there'll be things that are built for healthcare, other things that are built for pet care, other things that are built for people who are doing manufacturing. Sky is the limit. What we want to do is essentially create the substrate that enshrines those desirable properties, which are essentially, in many cases, digital rights. So like privacy, data sovereignty, transparency. We want people to be able to develop trust. We want people to be able to, interact in whatever languages they know. Yeah. So anyway, you saw the spectrum of it. I would love for all of you to just take a look at that list and say, I'm into this. I'm into security and provenance. I'm into developer and community incentives. I'm into financial sustainability. They're all there. I mean, and you know what? If they're not there, you can actually propose an entirely new desirable property. In fact, there's a group which I'm a part of, and I think I'm the only one in it right now because we're just kind of getting started with this last phase. Is DP discovery. So we'll be having conversations about, hey, what's missing? Any questions, thoughts, etc.?
I'm wondering if you could give me a bit more of the high level on where you're trying to go with this, because like I've built some similar ideas in the manifesto I did as well. But I'm curious, like, are you wanting this as like a process framework that different industries can utilize as a way of determining their own DPs and kind of go through it and build out their own process framework? I guess process based on this framework, or is this supposed to be like an all-encompassing thing for all industries, all parties concerned? What?
I think, well, semantics aside, the way I think about it is we want to create the minimum substrate or application environment that will allow anyone to build, whether it's building kind of at the highest level, which is a smart tag or an application, but it also could be a browser extension or a browser or something that plugs into a website and provides these other layers. And so we want to essentially, um, so we're calling it the overweb, is this first instantiation. And it's really going to be more of an agreement about what's important. And that's going to be embodied in code such that builders can build their browser extension, their browser, their web embed SDK, so that they can build those, and that anyone who uses their code understands, well, when I'm using code from one of these over web applications, the one that Jordan built, or the one that Fasa and Josh built, or the one that David built, that it's going to have data sovereignty. It's going to have, and you know what? Not everything needs to be built for not everything needs to have every aspect of it, but it has to have all the things that a specific community may want. Otherwise, it's not useful, right? In any application that lives in this space that we call the overweb will have to be able to cater to at least one community that says, I want tokens. I want authentication done this way. We need this flavor of data sovereignty with these options for storage. We need transparency in terms of knowing that someone is a real person, a unique person, as opposed to being a person with 100 accounts or a bot or an AI. So there's going to be certain things that communities are going to want. They're going to be probably different. And any application in the overweb needs to be able to supply and meet the demands of some community for it to be useful in my mind.
I see.
Does that help?
Yeah, so you're essentially discussing what the schema should be for the data model that you're going to use to measure and kind of validate the software within this ecosystem. So you're like talking about creating an Apple store, so to speak, but one that is a bit more extensible, that has more than just apps, that has different software products, but you're developing the schema of how the different variables and metrics that we care about are going to be enumerated and measured, and therefore somebody going into that ecosystem can say, when they're looking at something, have a trust or reliability that, if they're using something from that space, that it meets the standards that you're setting based on that schema. Is that right?
Yeah, and I don't know what it looks like. That's what we're figuring out right now. And there's going to be a lot of architectural decisions that, they're not known at this moment. But yeah, that's essentially
Cool.
it.
I like it.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I know you can contribute. I know all of you on this call have many things that we need to know to get this desirable properties as good as it can be for the 1.0, which is basically 1 month from now. This is about 30 days or so. So would love to, if there are any questions. Harm, are you wanting to?
Yeah, no, I'm excited to dig in more to the desirable property soon. And I found many fa interesting chapters on there, so I'm excited to dig in.
All right. Well, help us fix it, right? Because it's not completely right. We know that. We know that. So we're really looking forward to your input and Bernard, we need your input, right? We don't have a youth. Everybody, Bernard is 14 years old. Wait, you haven't had a birthday yet, right? Are you still 14?
Yeah.
She is the youngest person that has ever got fluent on the MetaWeb. And I'm really hoping that you get your certification this month or sometime soon. So we're really excited to have you as part of the group.
Thank
Any questions?
thank you
Oh,
so much. I tried to enter the MetaWeb community, the academy, but unfortunately the website was not working. I think because it's not allowed in my country, I'm not sure. I tried more than one time, different devices, but I couldn't log in.
let's I will contact you offline and we'll just get on Zoom and I need to see what's going on. If it is some kind of country restriction, then we could probably do something with the VPS. It also could have been that the thing wasn't working because there have been a number of times when, I mean, we're kind of building the bicycle while we're riding it. And unfortunately, yeah, we're getting there. I think it's pretty stable now, but there have been points when it was down. So I will contact you. We will get on and we will figure it out. Uh, so anything else before we leave, folks? And Jordan, let's reconnect for sure. I mean, so glad to see, so happy to see you. So
Yeah,
amazing.
same. Look forward to it. Put
All
some
right.
time on the calendar.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. Uh, sounds great. And any of you, if you have any questions, get stuck with anything, just reach out. I'm here. All right. Well, you want to open up your mic and say goodbye, everybody?
Yeah, it was a pleasure connecting with you all. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
It's really great.
Go Meta.
See everybody.
Go
Stay
Meta.
connected. Go
Right.
Meta.
Great.
This-